and welcome to Three Crones and the Woo Woos podcast. I am Gayle Nicholson, one of the three old crones. Krista Ducharme to my right, maybe left as far as you're seeing, is the delightful, suave voice we heard during the introduction today. And down there we got Joanne Angel Barry Colon showing up. Awesome stuff. How are you ladies doing this week? Krista, you already had your chance.
I'm sorry. I'm really great. I just was waiting for the stream to start so I could share this. And we just had an announcement from Germany telling everybody to start stocking up on food. And that's what the "you've got to be kidding me" comment was. I'm like, oh crap. So sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
No worries. One of the things that I love most about this show is the fact that we are live. Anything can happen, and there's always a lot of laughter.
Like, oh, okay.
So, Joanne, how are you doing this week?
I am doing great. Great. Like Tony the Tiger would say, great.
That is awesome. Awesome stuff. Well, ladies, this week we're going to be talking about protecting ourselves from negativity in the world, which, you know, I could use it. I'm assuming you guys could use it. I know that there's a lot of people on Facebook that could use it for sure. So,
yes,
let's just
dive in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's start with what we've got in the stars for us with Joanne.
What do we have in the stars? Oh, this week is not as exciting and powerful as last, because last week we had a lot of energy between the 11/11, Friday the 13th, Mars going direct, and also the new moon. So for me, this week is like, oh, there's not that much excitement going on, but there is. There's always excitement going on. It really depends on how you look at things. So today's moon specifically, today it's in Sagittarius energy. Now, don't know if any of you know what that actually means. When we think about the moon's energy in itself, it really is about our emotions, where our rising sign focuses more about who we are and how we present ourselves to the world. And our sun sign is really about what we need to become in this lifetime. The moon energy is our emotion. Now, I don't really know much about Sagittarius energy, which is weird, but I don't. So I have to read some notes. Here in regards to Sagittarius. What it basically means, it's a higher mind of expansion. And I'm not going to read all of them, but just the things that really stand out. Higher mind of expansion, broadcasting, networking. It may be the point of looking back to going to school, higher education, but this is on an emotional sense. So, for example, you might be asking yourself, the level of education, how does that emotionally make you feel? Did you reach your highest level of education that you had really wanted to, or did something derail you from doing that? So that might show up today in your thought process. And it doesn't mean that you have to go and apply to college. It's just showing up for you to be able to really heal from either the regrets, the guilt, the shame, whatever might show up for you. So that's the moon's energy for today. I want to also speak about the energy of numerology for the day based on the cosmic energy, because I find today's numbers very interesting. Even though, again, there's only master number is from the month of November. We are still in that master teacher energy for the entire month, what's left of it. But the actual energy for the day, the whole day, when we take the 11, the 17, and 2020 and add it up, works out to be a 5 energy. So 5 is all about how we can change something today, how we can change that something that's going to help us lead into some freedom on an individual level. Because I truly believe that when we work on changing ourselves, each and every one of us, then it becomes a collective change. As opposed to saying, well, how can I change so-and-so? Or how can the world change so it can be a better place? No, it's really up to each and every one of us to change ourselves. And only one thing, I'm not asking you to change everything today. One thing, one small thing can lead into massive change and also massive freedom. So that's the energy we do have today. And again, connecting that into the moon's energy is really evaluating your emotions based on, you know, your education, how you're broadcasting, how are you showing up in the world is what I just heard as well. How are you showing up in the world? And how do you want to show up in the world, which is that change. So if you're showing up in the world and you're not exactly happy with the way you're showing up, today's your opportunity. Today is that opportunity to change something so you can show up the way you want to show up, because you do have that choice, and you're the only one that can make that change for yourself. So that's our forecast for today.
I love it. I love it. And man, I'm feeling it too. Maybe you guys have, I say it like maybe, of course you guys have felt the shift as well since last week.
Yes.
You know,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. There, you know, for me, literally, I woke up in the morning, like Sunday morning, and went, let's do this, right? I never work on Sunday. I got so much freaking stuff done, and I got 2 sponsors for my new project came through on Sunday. So after literally this weeks and weeks of dread and, you know, missed communications and crossed wires and just feeling like I was living into a future of, you know, refrigerator boxes on the curb. All of a sudden, you know, the world turns, the universe shifts, and boom, there's expansion available now. So how's that showed up for you, Krista?
No, I can't say that it's shown up in the same way it has for you, Gail. However, yeah, no, I have noticed the energy changing. I feel like that the weight has been lifted. So I feel lighter. I am able to accomplish more, and not just accomplish it where it's like, okay, I get halfway through it and it's like, okay, I need to go and take a 3-hour nap. But it's more a case of I can finish, I've completed it. And then it's like, oh yeah, let's go on for another thing. You know, so like, for example, this morning, my daughter she was so funny last night. She says, Mom, you need to be dressed and ready to go out for our run at by 8:20 tomorrow morning. So I was all set and ready to go, and I was ready, and she's like, give me a few more minutes. Give me a few more minutes. But yeah, and before noon, 10,000 steps on my Fitbit, and I'm still raring to go with energy. And I'm just like, clickety-clacketing away with what I need to do on the computer, editing our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it's just like,
are either of you curious on why you have this energy?
Sure, why?
As
Please don't tell me. When she does that, I'm like,
it's a good thing. It's just a wicked laugh. That's all. As we mentioned this past weekend, we just had the new moon's energy and Mars went direct. Mm-hmm. So our planet Mars is all about the war and anger, but it's in Aries energy, and Aries is about action. So now that Mars has gone direct, it's allowing us to have that action, that need to want to do things, need to want to get up. And because new moon energy also activates the new energy to go forward. So we definitely have, I like to call it that battery helping us out to go forward and dive into these amazing new ventures that we've been trying to work on for Lord knows how long.
Now that makes a whole lot of sense to me, because before I was thinking about, okay, Aries is war, Aries is action, all this kind of stuff. But I didn't put into alignment that when Mars was retrograde, that meant pretty much a stop to the action, right? So you could describe it the space that I've been in for like the last 3 or 4 weeks even has been sitting in a chair just pissed at the world, you know, knowing what I have to do and just not willing to do it, you know, kind of energy. And now it's like, oh, thank God that's gone, you know?
Yeah.
And surprising myself with things that I was blocked up with procrastination because I've never done it before. I don't know how to do it. How do I do this? Oh my God, I'm just anxious. I can't do anything, right? Into, all right, let's one step at a time. Let's find our way through it. Right.
And I'm actually glad that Mars was retrograde in Aries energy, because again, the Aries is the action, the fire, the let's go. Whereas if, let's say if Mars was retrograde in, we're going to use Pisces, for example. And Pisces is the water sign, an emotional sign, intuitive sign. So just think of if it were in Pisces, the gateway opening, where we'd all be really emotional right now. So I'm really happy that it's in Aries.
Yeah. Yes, I have to agree because I don't need more emotional.
Not right now. Not right now. Yes.
No.
No. And we are still in the U.S., we are still in that in-between mode where the Electoral College votes have been tabulated and the outgoing president is preparing his legal team because he can't let go of anything without claw marks. And we're just, going to continue forward in this mode until the Supreme Court makes a decision on what's leading us forward. In addition to that, I know here in many states in the U.S., we're on another lockdown. I know they're doing that in England. How are they doing in the Netherlands, Krista? You said Germany's telling people, go shop, get their food now.
That was it. Yeah. And so we know that we're having an announcement, and it probably has already happened. I haven't seen the translated version yet of what that announcement is looking like for the Netherlands. However, it is looking like before, a conversation earlier with a couple of people, it has led me to believe that, we're probably going to go on a stricter lockdown. I don't know if we're going to be necessarily, where we can't go out at all. No one seems to be wanting to do that again, but I think that people are definitely going to be limited by what it is we're doing. And so you were just saying, Gayle, that you're in that process of having to do something for the first time. Well, that means I'll have to be doing some things for the first time, which is ordering food online in the Netherlands, which, oh, by the way, is all in Dutch.
God bless you.
For Google Translate.
There's only a few German words that I learned as a child, and that was usually when my mother was angry, so I try not to use them.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, what happens in Germany typically reflects here into the Netherlands, and Belgium has been on a lockdown since, I don't know, September. So they've been under, but their numbers went sky high after the summer, and so they wanted to they wanted to lower the numbers. Now, for a lot of the people, to give you a little bit of background, mainly they need to keep the numbers low and people at home because their hospitals and their facilities can't, if it's overrun, like I heard on the news that most hospitals here in the Netherlands only had like 1 or 2 beds available for COVID patients, and that was like 2 weeks ago. So, they're not, they don't have that capacity to be inundated. So it's, so it's a bit different. So again, everyone's energy is just like,
Oh yeah, this is really bad timing for
Zinging.
another lockdown because with the action energy unleashed, we all want to get out there and go out to the bar, go dancing, go out to dinner, see people
Yep.
that we have. Thanksgiving is coming in America, you
That's
know?
right.
Everybody's
Yep.
considering, do we go to the family gathering that's going to have 30 cousins there that,
Yeah.
and we all know there's always members of the family that refuse to follow rules.
Yeah.
I don't think we need an excuse not to go to family events.
Some people do like their family.
Yes, some people do. I love my family,
I love my family, and but yeah, honestly, even in the States, when we're talking to family, they're doing things differently, and using Zoom, a lot of Zoom, and we've been all Zooming each other since, or the Facebook group or Facebook rooms.
FaceTime.
Yeah, no, the Facebook rooms. There's rooms that you can go
Oh
into,
yes,
very
yes,
similar to
those chat
Zoom,
rooms,
right?
I think they call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've been doing a lot of that. And, it's just being different and being cautious. My husband is a huge books on tape person. And so we're listening to a book. It's about influenza, the great influenza pandemic
Back
is
in
the name of the book.
1918.
In the 1918. And I have to tell you, listening to this book, and I've only listened to segments of the book with him. Yeah, you guys want to understand the severity of a pandemic. That book brought to light things that, I kind of knew because of my understanding, but it was like, wow. It's and we're not even, he's not finished, meaning we're not finished.
So, in other words, you can't spoil the rest of it for us or for him.
I can't spoil it for you, but I can say it is actually kind of interesting to listen to. I don't know if I'd read it, but listening to it, definitely. The reader has a pleasant voice.
That's always nice.
So yeah.
Now, what's your experience going on in New York City? Are they threatening further lockdowns there? I know that they started sending around inspectors, last week or so?
Yeah, and they were actually around today too. But there is rumor. In fact, our good old astrologer Kendrick had mentioned to me last night that the bars are now being asked to close at 10 p.m. as opposed to 11. So they're cutting back on their hours. And there is a lot of talk that there will be a shutdown. And intuitively, which I don't even want to say this out loud, but I'm going to. Intuitively, I get that we're going to be shut down for Thanksgiving. I get that's their actual goal, is to shut down. So this way here, it prevents people from actually going out to those family gatherings to decrease the numbers going higher. And I don't know why.
And welcome to 3 Crones and
Wow, I am really, really having a good time tonight. It just went right to replay. I was
awesome.
Did I forget to mention that the 5 energy is also about unpredictability?
It's like, wow, we're having a good time.
I'm going to put Joanne on an assignment to do the numbers for every broadcast date we have from here on out. So
I know.
Some idea what we're going to have to deal with.
This is kind of funny. I went to look because I thought someone had commented. And so all of a sudden, here it is. Okay. All righty.
Awesome.
All right.
Now, I want to offer our audience an option for Thanksgiving, okay? Because my family and I have been doing this since right after the pandemic started back in March. And I absolutely adore my siblings, and I ascribe most of that to the fact that we each live in a different state. So I don't have to worry about people popping in, walking through my front door without knocking, all of the good family stuff. But I miss them. So we try to get together like once a month. So what we've been
Mhm.
doing since the pandemic started is once a month we do a Zoom meeting and we
Mhm.
play Uno together.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fun.
Okay.
that's fun.
Now, just a short little like primer on how to do that. Each household has their own Uno deck. Okay.
Mhm.
And you shuffle for yourself, you take 7 cards, and whoever you choose to be the first one turns a card up on their Uno deck. And then each screen full of people plays in response to that. So out of my deck, I'll turn up a card, and then Krista's going to play off that card. And if Kevin was on screen and playing, he would play off
Mhm.
Krista's card, and then it would come around to Joanne, and Joanne would play off Kevin's card with her own deck in her own house. And whatever Joanne
Mhm.
played, I'd play off of that card as well. Okay? So
Yeah.
it's one of the games that you actually can play over Zoom,
Mhm.
and we still, like gang up on each other and talk crap to each other and all of that. It's a whole lot of fun, and you don't have to drive home drunk.
There you
There
go.
you go.
So if you can't get together with your family on Thanksgiving, try playing Uno. It might be a whole lot of fun.
That
All right.
is. That's a great idea. I never thought of that.
We've been having a good time with it. It's been good. I think this weekend is our Sunday for doing that as well. All right, so back to the agenda. Let's hear
Yes.
from Krista on the.
Fantastic. Well, this week we've been talking about negativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how to handle that with everything going on. And it was kind of funny. I didn't know what the topic was when I picked the crystal. And I knew that we needed a crystal to ground us. After everything that's been going on and energy that I was sensing that was coming up, and some stuff that I know that's still to come up with, going on up there in with the planets, it came to me beautifully that we needed to use tourmaline.
Yes.
So tourmaline looks like a hunk of coal, but it really isn't, right? And this particular piece, I have to show you. I don't know if I can show you. See the white right there? That's quartz
Oh, cool.
that's in there. And so tourmaline is a wonderful grounding stone. Actually, this belongs to one of the corners in my house. I grounded the house with tourmaline to keep our energy is ours and everyone else's energy is theirs.
That's got to be very
It's
important. Don't you live in like a community building of some sort?
Yeah, we do. We live in a farm, an old farm, and we live in apartments. And when I say apartments, I always caveat it with, so when you hear people talk about the apartments at Buckingham Palace, yeah, it's like that, not like the apartments, in the Bronx. So don't think little, think, it's like essentially we have a, what, 2,200 square foot apartment,
Nice.
and it's 3 levels, huge yard. It's very big, very lovely. And so in any case, yeah, it is really important. And even when you live in a house and a single stick and brick, this is really wonderful to have. And I put it in the corners and I do a whole video on it. I'll put a link in our group that we have. So
Okay.
for those of you, FYI, if you're watching this on Facebook, we have 3 Crones in a Woo Woo group. And if you can't find us, hit either one of us up and we'll invite you into the group. And I'll put that link, like I said, though, for the video of what I do with this. So
This is
the
nice.
tourmaline, oh, beautiful. Oh,
Yes,
I
there's a
love
story
tourmaline.
behind this one.
I'm sure. Give me a second. I'll let you share your story. But I'm giving you guys a bonus crystal because this one, I was walking by and it said to me, I need to go play. So this is a snowflake obsidian. And this is a great one also. So if you don't have tourmaline and you have obsidian, it will do for grounding as well. And there she goes. But I love snowflake obsidian because it's a yin and yang stone. It has the white with the black. So it's a balancer of energy. For some people, they find this black tourmaline is just a little too grounding for them. Or they'll find like plain obsidian, which is, remember, obsidian is a volcanic glass. All right. It comes from the magma of Mama Earth. So there is a lot of fire in using an obsidian, but it's grounding. I mean, it's like it takes you beyond the depths of roots if you're playing with it. However, if you use this, the snowflake obsidian, it keeps you grounded but balanced. You know, it doesn't pull you down to the center of the earth. It keeps you more towards the, Earth's crust. Keeps you up there at ground level. So yeah, so either of these, this is the first one. The tourmaline was the first one that came to mind, but then definitely I think the snowflake. So in order to keep us centered in who we are and being grounded. So yeah, those are my crystals for the week. For this wonderful upcoming week. Now, Joanne, you said you have a story about your tourmaline.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I actually do. It's a very long story, but I'm going to make it really short.
Okay.
This was actually I believe it's my grandmother's or great grandmother's, when my sisters and I were cleaning out my mother's drawers and closet after she had passed.
Mm-hmm.
My sisters actually found this. I had gone down to the kitchen for something, and when I came upstairs, my sister said, "I'm sure Joanne's going to want this rock," because they called it a rock.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting enough, that the night beforehand, one of my clients in one of my moon circles had given me this beautiful crystal book, and I opened the book up to. I was looking for a stone that was going to help me work with healing my hip at the time, and I found, now I didn't have this crystal yet. I found this particular crystal in the book saying that this would be the best crystal to use to help heal the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I had said to my husband, we have to go to the store and get this. And then the next day, my sisters found, and when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. And as I was laying in bed that night, I heard my mother say, go to the book and grab your crystal. So I went to the book, and my husband's looking at me like, what are you doing? I says, my mother just told me to go to my book and grab the crystal. He's like, oh, okay, you go do that. So I went to the book, opened it up, and I asked my husband, I said, does this look like this in the book? And he looks at me and says, it's the exact same stone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I guess I already had the stone. So yeah, so when I was having my hip procedure, my hip replacement, this was with me the entire time.
Wonderful.
Yes. So I keep it with me. It's always in my bag.
Well, great. Well, if you're feeling a little bit out of sorts, because that one's a really good size, you can like put it really close to you. My husband Kevin and our daughter Genevieve each have a necklace that's black tourmaline, which they both wear on a regular basis. Me, if I wear the black tourmaline, that's a little too much for my, I'm like, yeah.
I was just going to ask you, is there any situations where you wouldn't necessarily want to, like use the black tourmaline too much?
I think so. Like in my situation, for me to wear it, it just brings me down so far. Because my energy is so high that kind of throws me personally off. But I can put it at my feet. Mm-hmm. And so I used to have a tourmaline log that was about 18 inches long and about, in diameter, about 3.5, 4 inches round. and it's living with a very good friend of ours at the moment, but I couldn't take it with me to Australia. And I would put it at my feet, but I knew that I couldn't like hold it on my chest. So you have to, because I would feel like it would compress me too much, compress my lungs. And it wasn't because of the weight of the stone, it was the energy of the stone. But at my feet, it was great. But no, tourmaline isn't as hard as like obsidian. When I am talking to people about grounding stones, I'm like, obsidian is wonderful, but make sure you have something like selenite or rose quartz to balance you out if you're working with obsidian. You need another high vibration stone because it's such a deep one. That's why when I like to show people the snowflake obsidian, because it's more balanced for people to work with, just as a one stone wonder, if you will.
Now, the reason I asked is because the first time that I ever went to buy tourmaline, the clerk that sold it to me said, "Now, do not grid under your bed with this." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you'll wake up constipated." And
yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah.
apparently, like in the process of grounding, the way that she explained it to me is that it kind of slows everything down, including your digestion. If that's so, you can use it to slow down your digestion if your digestion is not doing what it should be doing, and it's a little bit too high energy. But that always kind of stuck with me, and it's always made me a little bit afraid of tourmaline in large pieces. But for the exact purpose, it's great. Now, this is I want to share with you one of my pieces of tourmaline, and this one is one of my favorites because, let's see, you can see the little black flecks in it. Those are tourmaline.
Yes.
And the rest of it is smoky quartz and mica. It's very sparkly.
It is gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So when I keep stuff like this particular piece on my desk, because it, like you talked about the obsidian snowflake, the snowflake obsidian being more of a balance. This is what works for me as far as balancing the amplification of both the grounding and the sparkly for me. So you can find all kinds of cool mixes with tourmaline like this. Like you showed, yours has a piece of quartz in it, and that type of thing, that can help blend together the different aspects of the types of things that you want to manifest with the grounding. God knows I need grounding. And you can find a whole bunch of them at everythingjustrocks.com. Make sure that you let Athena know that the Three Crones sent you, and that you're looking for a piece of our crystal of the week, tourmaline, or possibly snowflake obsidian, if that's a little bit more your speed this week. And, set a schedule for a FaceTime tour of the shop, and pick the types of rocks that really sing to you. So thank you very much for that report about the tourmaline and the snowflake obsidian. You're going to put pictures of both up, right?
Yes, I am. I am. I meant to get those up, and I'll have them. I couldn't get a really good picture earlier. It was just, I was really efficient in some way. Yeah, they were kind of, and rocks can be, okay, so that is a true statement. All right.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, I have taken photos, hundreds of photos of crystals, and I have published loads of photos of crystals, and I will tell you, they can be very shy. I have some that it's to save myself, I probably could never take an awesome picture of them. I have others that are like, the camera loves me. Please keep taking photos. I'm gorgeous. I really, it is.
100%.
the personalities. It's just, it cracks me up sometimes. I'll be taking photos and I'm like, oh my God, you are such a camera whore, aren't you? I'm like, whoa. But yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got others like Labradorite that goes, I'm not showing you my specialness. Go away.
Yeah, you're not,
you know, if you're not here with me, you get nothing.
Although I do have one Labradorite, funny enough, that is actually, loves the camera. Yes, please take photos of me.
Phenomenal.
I'm gorgeous.
That's phenomenal. All righty. All right. Well, let's slide into my creative commands for the week. What a difficult word, forgiveness. Oh, God. So when I say the word forgiveness, what comes up for you? Is it, oh, yeah, freedom? Or is it screw them? And in saying screw them, know that you are saying screw me. Not me personally, yourself, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what this word is all about, because we're disserved when we're children and we're taught manners, and we're taught that if somebody smacks you at playtime and the parent finds out about it, they have to say they're sorry, whether they really are or not. And you have to accept their apology, whether you know they really aren't sorry or not. And we train our children to grow up in this dance of lying to each other. And when we have been apologized to with an inauthentic apology, and we have to say, oh, it's okay, it lets that other kid off the hook, doesn't it? And that's what we grow up thinking forgiveness is. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not it. Forgiveness is foregoing your right to be upset, releasing your right to be offended or hurt, specifically so that you don't continue hurting yourself in the future on a trespass from the past. Forgiveness is an entirely selfish prospect. You do it to release yourself from that binding to a person who hurt you. Make sense? Okay, great. All right. So, what's the real problem with forgiving? It's a matter of, my eye is watering. Been doing that 2 days. All right. So, what's the big deal about it? Why wouldn't you want to forgive? If you know that it's all about releasing you from a conflict that binds you in a painful situation, why wouldn't people be all over forgiving everywhere in their lives? Well, because they get comfortable and familiar with that being bound. At least when you're bound to someone else, you have an idea of where you stand, right? It's familiar. It's something that you know. If you choose to consider forgiving someone, there's all kinds of questions that come up in regard to that. Will they think that I'm telling them that it's okay for them to do that? Will other people think that I said that it was okay for them to do that? What will it be like, the relationship between the two of us after this? Will I lose control of this situation? And right there is the bean. Right there is the key. Refusing to forgive others, no matter how detrimental it is to them or how detrimental it is to yourself, speaks to your ability or your need to control the situation. So I encourage you, everyone today, to just think about what I've said a little bit and consider that when you step into the unknown parameters outside of control, outside of the familiar, it creates a space where pretty much anything can show up. Maybe those things you've been asking for with so much prayer. Maybe those things that you didn't think you deserved, probably because you had resentment in your heart. All of these things that you say that you want, unblock the gate that's holding them back. And that gate is called unforgiveness. All right. So what are your thoughts?
So I actually, it's very interesting. And because I'm part of one of your Facebook groups, it's Forgiveness Friday, right?
Yes, we do Forgiveness Friday.
Run Forgiveness Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do that every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something I was listening to this week. I can't remember what it was, but it was a reminder that forgiveness isn't to forgive the other person. It isn't a reward for them. When you forgive, it's a release for you. Yes. It's like unchaining that bond or that connection, right? Which is essentially what you just said. Mm-hmm. But by doing that, and by giving yourself that freedom, it's that in itself is the gift mm-hmm. of what forgiveness is. And so I was listening to this, and that was a reminder. And there was a situation that occurred, and I can't remember, one of my kids, we were having a conversation, and I mentioned it to them because they were upset. And I'm like, sometimes you just need to forgive the situation or forgive what your part is in that event that occurred, mm-hmm. So that you can let go and have that freedom to grow and blossom where it is you desire to be, rather than being held back like an anchor or weight mm-hmm. to that situation that had occurred. So it's a really powerful word when we learn to use it in a way that benefits us rather than how we were taught.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Marianne Williamson said something once that always stuck with me, and that was, making a mistake is not the most dreadful feeling in the world. The most dreadful feeling in the world is making the same mistake again. Mm-hmm. Right? Right. And a lot of people don't realize that forgiveness isn't just about forgiving others. But mm-hmm. when you can reflect it back on yourself and forgive yourself for your part in the situation, like you were just saying, or the mistake that you made again. You manifested the same guy in a different body, in a different relationship, if you can forgive yourself, forgive your own humanity, forgive yourself the struggle that comes with learning from mistakes, all of those things, God, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. That is so powerful and so empowering, So what do you think, Joanne? You're real quiet over there.
Oh, forgiveness. My policy. My policy of forgiveness. I myself believe that when you can step into that space of recognizing that everyone has something that they carry, some baggage that they carry, and you can get into that space of just being compassionate and understanding with everybody, you really don't even need to evaluate forgiveness, because you're already in a space of forgiving. You're recognizing that, they made a mistake. They probably didn't make the mistake intentionally to harm me, so to speak. It was something that either this is how they're used to doing things, they don't know how to do it any other way. And until somebody can give them that grace of accepting the fact that, I'm okay with the situation. There's no need for me to be angry at you. In fact, share a quick story with my former therapist and the situation that was going on between my husband and I, where my therapist kept insisting that I needed to be angry with my husband based on the situation. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, I says, why do I need to be angry? She goes, because what he did was wrong. I says, in whose eyes? I says, yours? I said, what he did. I said, he didn't do it to me. It was something, this is how he does. He doesn't know any other way. And there's no need for me to be angry. So there's no need for me, because she had asked me if I forgave him for what he's done. And I says, I never was angry about it to begin with. So there's no need to give forgiveness. But she was insisting that I needed to be angry and I needed to be able to forgive him, which didn't work out too well because I wasn't angry and there was no need for forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So my takeaway here, for those who are watching, is if we can really just get to that space of seeing everybody for what they can do, and not be so concerned of like their faults, And again, people do harsh things, damaging things, and there's always a lesson. I always believe there's a lesson for everyone who was involved. Mm-hmm. And when we can understand that there's a lesson and see it as a lesson, we don't take it to heart so much. Mm-hmm. So there won't be really a need to sit back and go into that space of forgiveness. So that's just like my philosophy. It's like, I forgive you already. There's no need for forgiveness because, that's just how I work.
Interesting. Very interesting. I love that. I think that's a very higher level of consciousness than the mainstream is in. And it's an admirable goal for the rest of us to work towards, and strengthening that muscle of shifting from, okay, this is upsetting me, I forgive the situation, forgive the parties involved, to where we're already in, this doesn't even trigger me, in that constant state of grace and forgiveness where you're not hooked, you're not triggered at all. And Edwene Gaines is a big proponent of forgiveness and such, prosperity mindedness. And she alludes to exactly the space that you're in, where you become so facile with being in a state of allowing everybody to be exactly as they are and exactly as they are not, that it's a constant state of forgiveness, and it becomes the air that you breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that.
Yeah. So that's phenomenal. And I love that we're not all in the same space about it, right? Because all of our audience is not all in the same space about it. And we're here to teach everyone who's here to learn. Excuse me. All right. So what projects do you guys have on tap coming up?
You go first, Joanne.
All right. Projects I have on tap. I have too many. But I'm going to mention two of my favorite projects. And one is really new, which is my Magical Moon Ritual Ceremony. It's a 6-month membership. And we meet twice a month. One of my clients actually said, do we actually have to meet like every day? I'm like, no. Twice a month, new moon and full moon. And during that time frame, we'll go through different rituals. We'll do some journaling together. We'll meditate together in that time. And of course, they get a little bit of homework, during the times that we're not meeting. And then I have my other one, which is my 7-week crystal healing class, which is actually in session as we speak. Mm-hmm. Just to jump back, the Magical Moon Ritual Ceremony starts in December. And for more information, you can just email healingwithin76@gmail.com. But my crystal healing class, that's in session as we speak. We are actually on week 2 tomorrow night, and it's really fun. And I'll have more information to when the next session will start up for that as we get closer to the end of this session.
Very cool. What you got, Krista?
Yes, that's awesome. So really at the moment, what I am doing is I am offering 2 really cool, 2 things. I'm doing distant healing sessions of either Reiki, with Reiki crystal, Reiki and crystals together. And
Like, is there a new crystal I haven't heard
of? Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that could get translated wrong. So yeah, where you schedule and you can just message me at Dimensional Healing with Krista on Facebook, or you can do Dimensional Healing with Krista at gmail.com, and we'll set up a time and we meet on a face-to-face call. I always love doing that. We'll have a conversation. And one of the things I love to do with distance Reiki crystal sessions, I love doing them because I find that they're really powerful. Right now, Joanne has experienced one of my distant Reiki healing sessions, and they're really powerful. And what I love about them is that they're all inhibitions are gone. They're null and void because we aren't physically together. So everything is working energetically. And just like our video that we're all in 3 different time zones right now,
Yep.
you know, magically is appearing on people's screens in a podcast. That's the way Reiki crystal energy sessions work as well. Now there's more to it, but I'm not going to go into all the nitty gritty at the moment, but it's a really cool experience. So you can message me and we can set up that. The other thing I'm getting ready to do is I do a 12-month energy forecast for you. And we draw we draw definitely 12 cards, one that represents each month in the upcoming year. And then in their oracle cards. And then there are a couple additional things I do with it as well. So by the time I'm done doing your whole energy session reading with you, and we do that again via Zoom or Facebook, I have on the table anywhere between 14 and 18 cards for your upcoming year forecast. And I take photos of everything, and so then you have an idea of what's a possibility of to come for your year. Each year I've done it for a couple of my clients and friends. As a matter of fact, my son actually he didn't message me. We were having a phone call and he's like, Mom, I need you to do my energy forecast. Can you do that for me, please?
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I've already had people reaching out because they're like, I am done with 2020.
Oh, I can relate to that. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah.
phenomenal stuff. I love that the 12-month energy forecast. Traditionally, every year, right around January 1st, I do some manifestation work. And
Yep.
let's see, it has been 12 years ago. I did, in beginning of January, I created what I wanted my relationship to be. Within 90 days, I met Bill.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I love the whole year. What's this going to be? All right.
Yeah.
So as far as the things that I've got going on this week, actually, tomorrow I will be a guest. I will be recording again a podcast, Millennial Masters of the Universe with Cherie Nova on Inspired Choices Network. We're doing a part 2 to the podcast that we just released yesterday, and getting into the nuts and bolts of EFT and tapping the way that I do it, because from everything that I see online, I do it a lot different than a lot of people are showing on Facebook and so on. And that put a lot of things into perspective for me, because somebody was saying, oh, EFT, it keeps coming back. Maybe because you're not doing it the way that I do it, because mine don't come back. Interesting concept, though. So we're doing that tomorrow. I am also, we've just opened sponsor enrollment on the new project for the new year. So we are doing the 7-Figure Sunrise Summit, which will be 7 days of pre-recorded interviews with a millionaire on mindset, how they create their day to empower them to success, delivered to your inbox by daybreak. And depending on which ticket package that you pick, you could be invited to an online Ask Me Anything Zoom with that millionaire at noon that day. So at this point, we are looking for sponsors. We have amazing sponsor packages because we're not just putting your little logo on a meme and putting that out there into the universe. We are doing additional things like professionally produced commercials that will be evergreen that you can use for this project and they're yours to use forever. Things like that. Appearances on other podcasts and some of the most exciting stuff that I'm not going to tell you about yet. You have to reach out to me to find out. So, we've got all kinds of cool stuff going forward, and I'm very, very excited to share more of it with all of you as things start to go on. But between now and then, please visit our sponsors, Dimensional Healing with Krista, Creative Command Coaching and Consulting. You'd think I could get the name of my own company, right? And Holistic Fitness New York with Joanne. And then all of this is sponsored, of course, by GayleNicholson.com. You can watch us everywhere: Strong Island TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on the Strong Island Radio Network, as well as on GayleNicholson.com /stream. Oh my goodness, my lips have decided they're done. All right, so any final words, ladies, for today, Krista?
My final word, hey guys, this week, just ground. Stay grounded. Remember, if you're feeling a little bit out there, not quite with it, if you don't have a crystal, go for a walk, hug a tree. Visualize yourself, your feet having roots. I love the fact we have a dog.
That's Jasmine. She's like,
oh, there we go.
Time's
And I
up,
have
Mom.
a son.
Joanne, final thoughts for the week?
Yes, final thought is just be mindful that we only have a little less than 5 days left of the sun energy in Scorpio. We're moving into Sagittarius energy. The energy is very different. In fact, like I said, I always have to go to my notes very quickly. Sagittarius energy is fire energy. It's not water. So it's going to get us moving. So a lot of action. As long as Mars is still in Aries, we're going to be moving, guys. Moving, action, action, action. Pray for our quiet if we do shut down, that we all can survive, because we will.
Well,
we will.
This too shall pass.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, it does. And my final word for the week is simply forgive yourself. You're a human being. Be gentle, be kind to yourself and
Amen.
others. And whenever presented with an opportunity to get offended, give it up.
I like that.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, everyone, have a fantastic week ahead, and we will see you all very soon. Bye.
Bye.